Hi there. Just wanted to do a quick. Actually, I'm not going to have a habit of saying that. Just going to do a quick video. So, no idea how long this is going to be. So, let's correct myself on that. I firstly wanted to share just a little experience I had this morning. I've really struggled with cleaning and keeping on top of things like dishes and hoovering and just keeping the living space clean and tidy. But I think out of anxiety, I cleaned the windowsills, and there was some water built up on the lower part of the window. And I think there was maybe some spots on the walls next to the windows, and I was just wondering if that's the start of like moisture build-up or damp. So I was getting a little bit anxious about that. So I immediately got my phone out and consulted with Google, as many of us do. And one of the things it mentioned, to help is to kind of, to ventilate, to clean moisture around the windows, and even do that daily. So I kind of pulled the blinds up. I went to get a cloth and I quickly cleaned the windowsills and the windows and the moisture off the windows. And suddenly there was a huge burst of good feeling from doing that. And I'm just thinking if that was just a response to doing something that usually it's really hard for me to do. And I'd kind of done it almost out of order, out of sync. It was kind of a sudden reaction to something, and then I managed to do it. And it was almost I can feel like the good chemicals going through me, and then also thoughts were going as well of, oh, what else can I do? And then I think on that little high, it almost feels like a bit of a high, getting this burst of chemicals, and it's so easy to kind of almost analyze your life, which can sound really bizarre. Like you just clean some windows, but then suddenly you're looking at life in a different way with these burst of feelings. And I was having thoughts like, don't give in to this, to what you're going through, and kind of fight your way out of it. Perhaps you can do more things and keep up the momentum. There were some healthy thoughts in there as well. I think there was the notion of wanting to keep everything tidy and just top off the tidying up, which would be a lot easier than having almost like a big sink full of dishes. If there was just topping it up, then it would be washing the plates of that day or after a meal to wash up. Or if I was able to clean each week on a weekly basis, it would be probably a lot easier than after 2 or 3 weeks or more of built up sort of dirt on the floor. But it's so easy for that energy to kind of get out of control, where it's so easy for me to think of other goals that I wasn't able to do in the past, like my writing. I was thinking, perhaps I need to go back to doing writing and doing a novel, and perhaps sort of stuff like these vlogs or my podcasts and other things I can double down in. Then almost a sobering thought came that this is not going to last, and it wasn't a negative thought. It wasn't a kind of I thought it's not going to last, so what's the point in enjoying it? It was just an observation that this is just a spike in energy of doing something that's usually really, really hard to do. And so when it's kind of understandable, really. Suddenly I've cleaned the windows, suddenly it's done, and it's not expected. It's like, okay, wow, I managed to do that. It's the response of the mind that's struggling so much to accomplish something like that. And so, I was trying to just be sensible with the energy of, because it can be so almost a bit destructive being in that energy and then thinking about goals and life when really it's not a true representation of how I'm doing things. For instance, having the thought of like fighting your way out of this, perhaps you'll get better, you're fine, and you can just, perhaps you need to go back to work, and you'll be accomplishing things, doing stuff, and maybe that will keep you afloat. Maybe there's some truth in certain things. It's because it's there's no like black and white, don't do this, do that. It's I feel like with life it's just understanding ourselves, understanding myself, what's good for me. So having a balance of everything, whether it's at some point returning to work, having that as a healthy thing in my life, or if that's possible, or it may not be possible, but I was aware that this energy is not going to, almost this burst of almost health. It felt like I felt almost alive and healthy for that moment, and the energy's still there a little bit, which is I wanted to kind of capture it to talk about it now, versus it once it's dissolved, it's disappeared, and then trying to reflect upon it sometimes can be a bit difficult to do. But I can sense that aliveness in me, and I wonder how it's also linked in regards to spirituality, in that yes, on one sort of surface level you've accomplished something, so naturally the mind is going to react to that. Just as if something has gone wrong, the mind may react to it in that way. But I think some of the pleasure or good feelings was also perhaps from unburdening the worry of the windows in some ways. Because one thing I'm learning on this kind of path of understanding myself is the energy charge thoughts have. Is something I'll probably talk about more in a podcast episode. I'll probably go over this in more detail. I may use the window example in there as well. So I won't go into it too deep here, but just generally, thoughts the more I've become more sensitive to thoughts and aware of the thoughts I've gone through, you kind of understand more and more just the impact a thought can have. So part of, I think, the good chemical feelings was accomplishing cleaning the windows, and I think maybe part of that, I don't know how big a part of it, but was also unburdening the thought, the energy charge of the thought of, oh my god, the windows, and there's all this moisture built up on there, then there's the stuff on the walls that's appearing, some sort of, it's almost like someone splashed water on the walls, it's almost like that. So not sure, maybe I'll perhaps clean those tomorrow if I can. I set a reminder on my phone, because in my head I'm sort of jumping onto something else now a little bit, but as much as I've done this so many times in my head, just where I've told myself, okay, remember to open the windows, ventilate tomorrow morning when you take a shower. I've had that thought so many times, I just don't remember. So, and in this moment, it was easier to just say to myself, just try to remember, instead of actually writing a reminder out, which takes less than a minute to do. But but sometimes we do things that's like the path of least resistance. So I kind of managed to write a reminder, which I wrote, open windows and open and clean windows. I put that as a daily reminder in the morning, so I can kind of do that when I wake up, and that'll probably also encourage me to take a shower, because it's going to be very cold where I am, so I'll probably want to not stay in that area. Yeah, so just wanted to note about those kind of energy spikes, and it's not a bad thing. I'm going to try and use it positively, where because I feel good that the windows are clean and the moisture is gone. And I think I've had this before, where I've had like a burst of energy and I've like washed the dishes or cleaned the kitchen, and it's been like night and day difference, and then suddenly there's like that burst of feeling, and there are thoughts like, I'm not going to let the dishes pile up and stuff. So I'm going to grab a tissue. My nose is going, but I'm going to leave this running. Yeah, so perhaps I can use this to my own momentum. And there's almost the desire to have stuff stable, so like do a proper clean, and then just keep like topping up the cleaning. And I think that will, if I'm able to get, I don't want to use the word routine, because there's lots of triggering stuff with that, because one thing I'm finding with like my low mood and everything's just so unpredictable, and it's so hard to kind of have these constructive, healthy thoughts of, I'm going to keep on top of stuff and do it. And already I'm thinking that, I think the way I sometimes get myself into this is because I have a couple of bad days that leads to things quickly piling up. And so sometimes it feels like it's not fully in my control, so maybe I should caution myself to, again, this is the difficulty of having a burst of good feelings in some ways, because then, like I'm talking already about creating a routine to keep on top of things and stuff, and then often what happens when things do collapse, then there's all this pain comes from that positive energy of wanting to do a good routine, and you almost go down deeper than you were before, and it's even harder to build on that and to kind of get yourself back up again. Things are so fragile in that way for me. So when I had the idea to record today, I wanted to actually talk about dating and mental health and the challenges that comes with that, but I thought I'd quite quickly talk about this thing this morning, but I'm already like 13 minutes in. I'm not sure if I should record another video later talking about dating and stuff. I'm not too sure. I'll see how this goes. Maybe it'll come up in a minute and I just want to talk about it. But perhaps it's good just to acknowledge that I was able to do a bit of cleaning. Perhaps keep things simple. I don't have to kind of zoom out and figure out meanings. And this is sometimes the issue of thoughts and thinking when it's not done mindfully. Sometimes you can spread like wildfire, where you're creating all these plans and doing things, or even on a very small scale, like for me, thinking, I can do all this other cleaning and keep on top of it. And it's an okay thought to have, but as long as there's kind of some mindfulness to that thought, to mindfulness also meaning space around the thoughts that, hey, this may not go the way you think it will. To be aware that if you look at the pattern for even the last couple of years, it's been lots of ups and downs, lots of difficult days, and where this energy may not be accessible, this enthusiasm may not be accessible, and you've got to take care of myself during those days and not compare myself to the, to now, the thoughts I'm having in this moment of, I think I can do it. So it's kind of a fine balance. It's not like you're I'm not ignoring these thoughts, but it's just being a balance that, okay, it'd be nice to perhaps keep on top of things. It might make it easier for me to do, and of course it's more pleasant to live in a cleaner place, and I think the act of something like housekeeping is it's got a runny nose for some reason, all out of nowhere. The act of doing a task, sometimes it's never too small. Like a task, you can always, I think that's valued more for me, being in such a low mood where sometimes making a cup of tea feels like climbing a mountain. So I think it's easy to not belittle things as much, even though the mind wants to do that. It's I think the mind has a habit of that, where it's really hard to acknowledge stuff. I do for myself. It's always trying to climb Mount Everest, be a published writer and accomplish this and all these grandiose ideas and goals, and sometimes it can, making a cup of tea can sometimes pale in comparison to that. So on one level, it's really understood that, wow, you've really, to do that, you've taken care of yourself. To take a shower, even sometimes it's a huge accomplishment. So, but then there's another part of the mind which is also at the same time belittling it. So it's kind of two things are going on there. Maybe I'll do the dating conversation in a separate video, I think, because I'm just thinking out loud here. Tissue's falling apart. I'm thinking out loud here. I'm guessing it might be better in its own conversation versus it mixed in with me talking about sort of daily stuff as well. It may be better as a subject to be, it's quite a big subject, so perhaps talk about in a separate video that just deals with that. That's my first thought. So today, after the event of cleaning my windows, did I do that before? No, I cleaned them after I took a shower. Okay, so I've just had some breakfast, and I am going to go for a long walk. There's like a park that's 40 minutes away, and I've talked about it before. That's kind of a pleasant route. Well, sort of. You have to go through a bit of traffic and busyness, but then the road leads up to it's quite wide and it's quite open. So compared to where I am here, so it's not that wide, but in comparison to here, it's quite wide and open. So I'm going to walk up there. I had the plan of walking up there earlier this morning, and then coming back to have lunch and watch some chess. That's on this afternoon, and then maybe do this recording then. But then my cousin messaged me to actually ask me if I wanted to meet him at that park for a walk. So so there's a moment of trying to figure out in my head, because I was close to actually leaving and going and thinking, do I just want to go and just message him saying if you want to join me, or should I ask him what time's good for him? So I find compromising or not I'm always ask other people like, what time is good for you? I never really consider my own time, and so I kind of hesitated replying, not knowing if it was important for me to get going now or early in the morning for the walk. But after some thought, I had the idea of just having breakfast and then recording, so perhaps making use of my time. And I didn't think he would be up for going straight away, so, and it'd be nice to see him as well. So yeah, he's going for a tough time, so it's good to be there, and of course it will help me as well to kind of get out and spend time seeing somebody. So I think I handled that okay, actually, just like reorganizing my day a little bit, and it wasn't a huge like ask. I think there's a balance with sort of compromising with time, and that's something I really need to work on, because there's times when I haven't really felt like doing something, or I just didn't feel well enough, and I kind of pushed myself to do it. It was like I just need to blow my nose, but I don't want that to be heard on video, and I don't edit these videos, and so it makes it kind of possible for me to upload, because I don't have the task of editing. So excuse me constantly wiping my nose. So I'm going to go for a long walk with him, so that's really good. So I've got like exercise there and some FaceTime maybe, and I think I'm also going to use that time just to practice being comfortable with myself. I find sometimes I am so eager to be good company sometimes that I'm kind of overexerting trying to be polite and nice, and I think I'm going to try and be a bit more present and mindful and slow myself down. I find one of those things when I'm with people, I'm talking so fast to quickly respond to people, and we talked about this in the eye appointment as well, and I kind of feel tired today, and I feel calmer than I did the last couple of days. I kind of want to just align with that and really just stay in that calm space, not having to kind of almost contort myself to what I think is like a social norm of just like being really chatty and responding, and it's okay to do that, but I just don't feel like it's a good balance, a good energy for me to be in. It probably contributes to me feeling a lot more drained as well than if I was just within my own energy, not trying to kind of be polite and be calm, and just trust that energy holds those kind of values as well, without having to put them in high gear and kind of hold a conversation in that way. And, so I'm kind of faced with the task of cleaning my place, because it's due a clean, so I'm going to see what my energy is when I get back. I need to kind of do the dishes, which is a constant, but they've started to build up again from a few episodes ago when I was talking about doing them. I remember that. So I'm going to kind of try and do that, and maybe just check in with my energy when I come back, really. This is where I feel like things are not fully in my control in that sense, where I can't just commit to when I get back and doing it, because my mind's just too fragile to hold that thought, which I can feel the energy and the stress of it. And this almost links back to work as well, because it just feels like I can't manage a schedule like that. Maybe I'll talk about work stuff in a separate video, more detailed as well, but generally speaking, it's like it's always going to be a risk now to get back into work. The risk of putting myself out there, the emotional energy of obviously finding work, what type of work, and then if I was to find something I was feel able to do, just getting through, just managing the schedule of it, and there's always the thought knowing that if I'm not able to handle it, I'm going to be worse off than I was before. I talked about, if you go not just one step back, it's like, it's more steps back than you've been ever before sometimes. So maybe I'll leave all that stuff for another video, work stuff, but just a quick note on Christmas. Christmas was generally okay. It was, I feel like I'm quite lucky in that. So my family sort of have an understanding of how I am at the moment, and I'm speaking up a little bit more about my energy as well. So when I went in there, I kind of said to a family member that my energy is not great today. So, and I've kind of mentioned I've got my headphones with me, I've got my laptop, so it kind of almost gave that expectation that if I was to zone out and put on my headphones or to go on my laptop, that it wouldn't be rude in some ways, or it would be because he's going through a difficult moment, or he's feeling tired, or needs a break. So that's helped as well. I hope you had a good break, and I hope yesterday was okay for yourself, Christmas was okay, and if it wasn't, I hope you can sort of recover today and take care of yourself. That's all we can do sometimes once we've had a difficult day, a difficult moment, is kind of put our energy in just taking care of ourselves, which may just mean sort of watching something nice, and whatever it means for you to be comfortable. Okay, I'm going to end the vlog here. Okay, take care, bye.